As the joint took effect, Matt's body began to feel numb and his mind confused. He found himself immersed in a dreamlike state where time seemed to slow down and reality became blurry. In this state of confusion, Matt heard a voice that sounded like his own, but spoke in a strange and disjointed manner. "Don't you realize how weak and miserable you are? Man up!" Matt turned around in terror, thinking that someone had entered his house, but he saw no one. "You're looking in the wrong direction." "Who's there? Come out, you coward! Show yourself!" Matt replied, assuming a defensive stance with his fists up, ready to strike. Matt then heard a wicked and cackling laughter coming from the bathroom. He took a deep breath and slowly approached it, keeping his guard up. But he didn't see anyone until he turned his gaze to the mirror. What he saw left him breathless. In the mirror, there was a figure that seemed to be a dark and distorted version of himself, naked from the waist up, with a sculpted abdomen and well-defined chest. The skin was darker, the hair raised with a strand falling on his right cheek, his face full of scars, and his eyes were red as fire. Matt found himself staring at the reflected image, unable to believe what he was seeing. The distorted figure looked at him with a satisfied grin. Matt stood frozen, unable to move or speak for several seconds as he tried to make sense of what was happening. No, it can't be. Am I awake? Matt thought as he recalled his childhood dream. "Yes, you are, my dear," the man in the mirror exclaimed. What are you... Sorry, dogs. What are you... Matt asked, his voice trembling. "Don't you understand by yourself?" the man in the mirror asked. It's impossible. He's that thing I dreamt about a long time ago," he whispered. "He can read my mind." "How?" Matt wondered again. "I can do it because I am you. Your anger, your pride, and your despair. They gave me shape and substance," his alter ego yelled. "Me? Where do you come from?" Matt asked, incredulous. "I am here because you summoned me," his doppelganger replied. Matt shook his head in disbelief. "I didn't summon you. I don't even know how to do that." The doppelganger laughed. "Oh, but you did. You summoned me with your thoughts, emotions, and actions. You wanted to be strong, brave, powerful. And I am the embodiment of those desires. We are one." Matt felt even more terrified than before, as if he were losing control of the situation and his own life. He thought he might be going insane or experiencing some kind of hallucination. He couldn't believe that the figure before him was a part of him. Matt then tried to reason and find a plausible explanation for what was happening, but it was difficult to focus. In the end, he took a step back, trying to distance himself from the figure staring at him with those fiery red eyes in the mirror. No, we're not one and the same. You're just a trick of nature, a specter," Matt exclaimed, trying to compose himself. "Don't delude yourself. You've always known. You've always sensed that I was inside you. And now..." The doppelganger chuckled. "Now you have the chance to know your better side." "You can't be me," Matt retorted, trying to convince himself. "Oh, but I am. You tried to hide me, but I've always been there, lurking beneath the surface, waiting to strike. All that is yours belongs to me by right, and mine it must be." The doppelganger raised his voice. "No way. Oh, I've already heard this," Matt thought. "What do you want from me?" he finally asked. The doppelganger approached even closer in the mirror, its dark and eerie figure contrasting against the immaculate white background. Its red... Hold on, give me a second, sorry. Sorry about that, had to pause. Kids came in. All right, let me pick back up. The doppelganger approached even closer in the mirror, its dark and eerie figure contrasting against the immaculate white background. Its red eyes were fixed on Matt's, seemingly cutting through him like razor blades. Matt felt completely vulnerable, as if the doppelganger could see into every thought and secret. The atmosphere grew heavy and oppressive, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Remember when Jacob and his gang made you suffer when we were kids, and how they caused Marty's death? You want revenge, and I am here, right here, to help you get it, the doppelganger declared, proposing an alliance. Memories of his childhood and of Marty flooded Matt's mind. Think about it, Matt. You finally have the power to set things right, once and for all. All you have to do is let yourself be helped. Embrace the darkness within you. We will achieve great things together, the doppelganger urged. Matt lowered his gaze, his eyes filled with tears. He didn't want to accept the words, but he knew they were true. Together, you say? I'm not sure if I'm really capable. Marty's death has truly destroyed me. I'm a broken man. Stop pitying yourself. It was destiny that had happened. Do you want that pain to destroy you or redefine you? The doppelganger asked. I just want Marty to come back to life, Matt said, lifting his gaze. No, you want revenge, and we'll get it together, the doppelganger declared. But who are you? Matt asked, leaning in and staring at the dark figure. I am everything you could be, your untapped potential. I'm a part of you, the doppelganger replied. Matt looked down again, lost in thought. You're thinking about her, huh? Poor Marty. Such a tragic loss, isn't it? But deep down, you know you're guilty, Matt. If you had killed those bullies during the reunion right away, she would still be alive. You knew you were capable of it, but you held back, the doppelganger mocked. No, it's not true. It wasn't my fault, Matt shouted, trying not to be swayed by his alter ego. Deny it all you want, but deep down, you know it's true. You could have prevented her death, but you let your merciful instincts take over. You should have given it your all in that fight. They deserved to die for what they did to us. Matt clenched his fists as a storm of emotions raged inside of him. Don't you want to free yourself from the burden of guilt? The doppelganger continued. Yes, of course. But how? Matt asked, accepting the doppelganger's words. By reclaiming what is ours, we'll make them suffer. No one can stop us, the alter ego exclaimed. Yeah, I can't deny that I want revenge. Those bullies, those bastards. They took Marty away from me, ripped her away from her family. What do you suggest I do then? Matt asked, smiling maliciously. Become one. Join forces and unleash our combined power, the dark entity suggested. Matt then fixed his gaze on his alter ego in the mirror, tempted by the offer. Become one? How? Matt asked, intrigued. It's simple, Matt. You just need to touch my hand. The doppelganger replied, extending a hand toward the mirror. Our souls will merge, and we'll become one entity, it continued with a smirk. Matt felt tempted by his doppelganger's offer, but at the same time he was still frightened and confused. He looked at the hand reaching out through the mirror, trying to understand what would happen if he were to touch it. The doppelganger seemed extremely confident, and its voice was warm and seductive. But Matt knew he shouldn't trust it. It was a creature born from his anger and pain, and he didn't know what its intentions might be. "What about me? Will I still be myself?" Matt asked cautiously. The doppelganger smiled. "Don't be foolish, Matt. You will still be yourself, but better, stronger, sharper, faster." Matt hesitated, unsure of what to do. The idea of merging with his doppelganger was enticing, yet terrifying. The desire for revenge burned deep within him, and he couldn't shake the thought of getting back at those bullies. In the end, Matt remembered the dream and the merging of his future self with that creature. Maybe it really was destiny, he thought. Matt made up his mind and slowly approached the mirror. "Fine," Matt whispered, getting closer and extending his trembling right hand toward the double reflection of himself. The doppelganger, meanwhile, smiled with a wicked glint in its eyes. When Matt's fingers were about to touch those dark ones of his alter ego, a shiver ran down his spine. But the temptation to become stronger and more powerful was too great to resist. The two hands touched, and the doppelganger was absorbed in a blinding light. While Matt felt engulfed by a wave of sparkling and powerful energy, his body remained suspended in the air during that process, and he could feel the doppelganger's strength merging with his own. After returning to his feet, with one knee bent forward, a new sensation of power began to surge within him, with dark and red-black bursts of electricity enveloping his body. His mind, on the other hand, became so acute that the world around him seemed sharper and more vivid, and Matt felt like he could do anything, as if there were no limits to his abilities. It was an incredible feeling, yet simultaneously terrifying. What would he do now that he was so strong? What could he do with this newfound power? Matt looked at himself in the mirror and saw his reflection, his eyes now black with a sinister smile on his face. He knew he had surrendered to his dark side, but he didn't care. All he could think about was the revenge he would soon get. "Now we are one, Matt. No more hesitations, no more fear. Together, we will unleash our fury and destroy them," the doppelganger declared in his mind. "What have I done?" Matt wondered, incredulous. "You made the right choice, Matt. Embrace the power within you. Let it fuel and guide you towards revenge," the dark entity encouraged. The transformation was complete, and the world would soon witness the wrath of a man who had nothing left to lose. Then Matt felt his energy skyrocket. He looked at his hands and noticed that the wounds on his sore and bloodied knuckles began to regenerate instantly, leaving some red scars on his body. And he noticed that his arms, chest, and abs suddenly became extremely defined. After feeling a surge of power, Matt lost consciousness, collapsing to the floor. The next morning, Matt woke up slowly, feeling sore. His mind was still foggy and confused, as if he hadn't slept for days. He got up with effort, wincing at the pain in every part of his body. He looked around, trying to remember what happened the previous night, but his thoughts were still muddled and blurry. However, he knew that something strange had occurred. The feeling of power and strength he experienced was still present, pulsing in his veins and muscles. He approached the window, trying to orient himself in time and space. Was it just a dream? Matt wondered, still confused. No, it was not, his alter ego replied in his mind. Matt jumped and looked around, but he saw nothing strange. It was as if his doppelganger was there with him, but only in his mind. The voice continued to speak. You've become something more, Matt. You've been chosen for a destiny beyond this life. So, you can read my mind and even hear what I say? Matt realized the situation. Of course I can. I am you, and the sooner you understand that, the better we'll be, the doppelganger replied. Why is this happening to me? Matt asked, trying to make sense of it all. Your blood was infected by the particular variety of cannabis you smoked. The union between them and your already disturbed state of mind brought me to life. But I've always been with you. That was just the spark that ignited the fire, the doppelganger explained. It's crazy. But you know what? It's cool. We can make decisions together inside the same body, Matt replied, relieved. This partnership will last forever. Believe me, the doppelganger assured. Why do I feel so full of energy? Matt asked, clenching and unclenching his fists. Now you possess the power of two people within one body, the doppelganger proclaimed. The power of two people within one body. Like a fusion? Matt asked, astonished. Exactly. If you don't believe me, why don't you try hitting the heavy bag? The doppelganger suggested. Matt approached the punching bag slowly, eyeing it suspiciously, but at the same time feeling a certain excitement in the air. With a deep breath, he prepared to throw his first punch. The air seemed to expand and contract around him as his inner alter ego pushed him forward with increasing force. Matt then delivered a powerful right punch to the bag, and his fist went through the fabric with surprising ease, as if the bag were made of paper. The force of the blow made his knuckles sting, but he also felt a surge of energy spreading through his body, as if he had been charged with electricity. Matt was left speechless. He didn't know how to interpret that sensation, but he knew it wasn't a dream. The bag was now torn, and he was certain that he held a new power within him. But how can this be? It's insane, but what are these red scars on my body? Am I turning into a monster? Matt asked, frightened at the sight of the scars. Call it what you want, Matt, but you have been given the power to destroy your enemies. Now use it, the doppelganger urged him to act. With this power, I can avenge her. I can keep my promise, Matt thought, remembering Marty. Yeah, still thinking about that girl, the doppelganger said, annoyed. Now let's get to work. It's time to track down those bastards and make them finally pay for their actions. But we need a plan, the doppelganger encouraged. What do you suggest we do? Matt asked.